Welcome back, everyone, to the Flyin podcast. We have a full crew tonight. We're finally all back together, boys. Sam, Zach, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good. That honestly, that should have been my trivia of the week that I came up with was, when was the last time we were all on the podcast together? But yeah,
Some busy weeks.
I know it's been busy, but we're all back on it. And it feels good. Got to go to the game together as well this past Saturday. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be back with the whole crew. I'm glad we were able to keep it going as we could throughout those past few weeks. But unfortunately, we're going to be talking about a rough one, but um, it'll be enjoyful nonetheless.
So tell me this, boys, last year I went to 2 away games and we lost both of them. This year, is it going to be when we all go to the games together that we start losing the games? Hopefully that's not the case because we had a good time. Even though the result wasn't there, I feel like the vibes were pretty good. I mean, going into this game, it's match day number 7 in the MLS. So we're gonna talk about the Redbulls. We'll give you a little bit of a recap of that game. Got a nice trivia question for Sam for everyone tonight. So interested to hear that one. We got some jersey swaps, card of the week again. We're gonna talk about some of the results for the GA Cup, which we touched on last episode. We're going to talk about maybe some moves coming up, hopefully, maybe, possibly, by the end of this month. And then a preview for the Montreal game coming up on this Saturday. So, like both of these gentlemen had mentioned, some big news out there, lots to talk about, some ups and downs. But like Sam said, we're still in fourth, so it's not terrible. Match day number 7. Like we said last week, huge game against Redbulls. Overall, now with this loss, we're 3-1-3 overall. So pretty solid record. Guys, we finally had a warmer match day in a Saturday night game. So was honestly so pumped about that. I know we joined the march and had a grand old time. I felt like every time I'm in the march, I don't know if it's just like me just saying it, but I feel like the march is bigger every time we do it. It was a good looking march.
Yeah, you had even mentioned, a lot of flags, right? That was the biggest
Yes.
thing that we had noticed was a lot more flags, a lot more energy in that perspective. Um, but yeah, the vibes were going pretty well during the pregame there for this heated, probably the second most, rivaled club that we play behind the Columbus Crew, obviously. And yeah, you could feel it.
With it being such a warm day, having everybody at Washington Park, it was packed. It was great to be there. The pictures that we took were unreal with the sun just coming through all the smoke. Just beautiful, beautiful evening. Honestly, couldn't have spent it with better men. Like, let's be honest,
Ah,
that's a
come
great
on.
time.
Ah, come on.
I
Got
felt like,
all three got the boots. Like, couldn't go
yeah.
wrong.
Well, the vibe started off so high and then we score right away too. So, I mean, we were riding highs, right and left going into the beginning of this game. But yeah, Sam, I think you made a good point. I think the flag game was on point for Saturday. So shout out to the Bailey on that one. Ever since Monterey came into town, I've been saying I think we need more flags in the Bailey. I know a lot of people for a while, they didn't want that. They didn't want their view blocked, but I think the flags are a really cool look, especially when the players walk out on the field and you see all of that. We had a lot of the checkered flags, but how about some diamond flags? What do you guys think about that? I think some diamond flags would be awesome. So hopefully we can get that done. Also touching on the Bailey, guys, we need a tifo when we play Red Bulls at home. Like I think that's the prime time to do like a little Frankie Who or something like that, like and like Lucho standing over him or something. Maybe that would just fuel him more, considering how this game went. So we'll get there in a minute, but that's kind of my first impressions on that. Sam, lineup wise, what do you see?
Yeah, lineup wise, very kind of normal lineup. The only big thing that we saw obviously was two things. Was Baird out for Kubo. Kubo starting up top with Bupenza, and then in the back you see Kip Keller slot in for Murphy, which I had seen tweets after the fact, after the game and everything, which we're talking about the rotation of the squad in the back is to most likely help out when Robinson does leave for Copa America, to give Kip Keller, Ian Murphy some more time, so that way those guys can get more comfortable with, Miazga, or maybe Miazga goes to Copa America. One of those two guys may get called up. So just rotating in the back to get everybody familiar with everybody. But you could definitely tell it was a little off there the first half.
Man, Sam, I think there was more than two. I mean, we had Louro start, we had Celentano out, so he's still working back from his injury. And then I think it was Obi's first back in the 11 starting this match. So it was good to see him. Granted, it was a short 60 minutes, but kind of rough to see him throughout the match. But he's working back from the injury. But yeah, I mean, you had some strong words last week about Kubo starting, so I'm definitely curious to hear how you feel after this past match.
Well, the club leaked it earlier on in the day. Every time these match day graphics come out, if it's somebody questionable, like that means they're playing. So we were all saying before the game, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be in there for? Is Wobodo ready? Is it going to be, Kubo up top? And that's what it ended up being. They went with something different. Credit to Pat for trying to get something going up there. And, guys, third minute of the game, it actually felt like we were moving and creating opportunities. You see a really good ball over the top from Miazga for Acosta to run onto, plays it out wide for Yedlin, puts a shot on goal, falls right back to Lucho, who, I mean, the dude's got unbelievable vision to see that Kubo's open on the back post. Way better header, Sam, than the last game against New England. That's the first thing you say. He's like, that header was so much better than the one before, which I think a lot of people agreed on. But yeah, I mean, a lot that I saw from that play, the vision from Lucho, the fact that we had to kind of wait and all look at each other like, are they going to call it offside? Like, all right, we were waiting for it to happen just because it's happened so much. But you just ride immaculate vibes. And that was probably the loudest sha-la-la-la I've heard in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you get a goal within the first 5 minutes of the game. Like, that's going to be electric, because I feel like at that point, maybe 5-10 minutes in the game, you get everybody actually in their seats. Whereas, more pregame, or kind of, coming in to the stadium, going around the concourse. But yeah, what a goal by Kubo. To your point, Zach. Yeah, I mean, up top, he put away a finish there a lot better than, like Ryan had said a couple games ago. But you know, he scored. Corey Baird has not, right? So he's doing something that, one of our other forwards isn't. So, maybe Kubo, this Swiss Army knife of a man, I mean, he's proven he could play anywhere, which is ridiculous.
The
I
fact
mean,
that he had us questioning that, was he going to play in goal? Like, like when we see
Yeah.
that pop up, is that where he's going to be plugged in this game?
but I mean, you did both your point. I mean, scoring within that first few minutes. I mean, starting off. I mean, the fire show was amazing, or the firework budget. I mean, they're doing well. Great job. But like feeding off that into the like beginning of the match, and um, having that goal scored. I mean, you really need to continue that momentum, and you know, I guess as we're working through that goal, I mean, it was a great confidence from Yedlin. I mean, it's good to see our wing backs actually trying to produce something in the final third. So props to him. And then, like you said, Lucho with his amazing vision. I mean, he's going to be assist after assist this season. I mean, he's hit that one. I can't remember what the stat was. The mark that he just hit, where he's in the top
Oh,
five or
top 7 for
top seven.
60 goals and 80 assists.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it shows right there. That's your man.
Yeah, I mean, great point. The one thing that when you touched on Yedlin getting more involved in the attack, I mean, that's where we had Arias last year and was so deadly. I think I mentioned that on the last podcast. But if you look at after you score, I mean, what's the first thing I said to you guys is like, let's keep it up. Let's not get complacent. And keep going for it. Keep creating these opportunities, ride the high that you have. And the first 15 minutes looked pretty solid from that. Um, while we're kind of on that topic of the wingbacks, so Oriano had some beautiful long distance shots that, I mean, what other players have we had that have been able to do that? I mean, he was inch away from, one hit the crossbar, and then the other one, he hits just on the top of the net, but looks like it's going in when it hits the net layer. So he's gonna get one.
He was giving me like a glimpse of what we saw Bupenza kind of do last season.
Mm-hmm.
When he first came on, like he was taking a lot of like long range shots that were on target. This season, not so much. So that's what it kind of reminded me of, and it was nice to see that because it brings some excitement, to the attacking presence.
Yeah,
You,
absolutely.
you make a good point because we can't get the ball in the freaking box. So let's start ripping them from outside of the box, right?
Well, and we're trying to be too perfect with it. And how can we work this perfect ball through or behind? It's like
That's how Lucho's always been.
if you have an open look though, for some of these center mids or when
Yeah.
we're swinging around and like, take your space and just rip one. And I think we saw Buka do it a couple times. It's good to see some of those guys do that. Or, if you hit it hard enough, the keeper has to make a save and there's a follow-up opportunity. That's where Vasquez got some goals last year and the year before. Why not keep trying that? And I think Oriana's close. I think he's going to get one soon. We need to talk about at a later point in the episode just how he needs to start taking over some of the free kicks and corners, but we'll get there. Yeah, I mean, after the first 15, though, you get this play broken up in our defense, and all of a sudden the momentum changes. So the ball hits off the back line, falls right to Frankie Amaya, who slots it in around Louro. You hear all the Frankie chants. It's got to stir this guy on. He goes over, puts his hands up in the corner. It's like, all right, dude, you're already hated. Now you're even more hated. He's scored now in 2 games in a row in the regular season against FC Cincinnati at TQL. The playoff game is the one that I'm excluding, but the last regular season game he also scored there too. So I think every time he comes in, he's playing an inspired game. It's like, where was this Frankie when he was on our team? Like he's scoring from outside. We never saw that.
No, I don't I don't know. I think when he was with us, he didn't really play with a lot of passion, didn't have anything to play for. And obviously he's a guy that feeds off of something to play for rather than just going out and, playing with nothing to kind of look forward to, per se. But yeah, he definitely stirred up the crowd a little bit. There was some interesting chants going on. And then later on in the game, the PA system had to get involved as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Frankie goal was a amalgamation of mistakes. You had a bad pass from Yedlin to Obi. Can't mess that pass up going to the middle on our side of the or on us or the pitch. And then Obi probably should have had a little bit better control on that. I know it was a little behind him, but I mean, in that situation, in that positioning, you really can't let that ball go. And then Amaya just picked it right off of Obi's foot. Uh, Actually, I think he was the full of the play. Like Amaya passed it to someone who passed it to Van Zier and then gave it to Amaya for his shot. And then, I mean, Louro, it seemed like he had a little bit of a delay reaction on that shot too. Could have been because there was some people in the way, but I think overall, I mean, it was a good shot by him, but I think we could have done a little bit better on ball control.
Yeah, I mean, that's a situation. It's like, is that on the defense? Like, I think it is a misplayed ball, like you said, and it creates an opportunity where they're coming right back at you, and you don't really get a time to react to that. And there's been a few situations, and the second goal comes the same way on a turnover, and we're kind of scrambling and recovering. So that's hopefully not a trend for the future. But from 20 minutes on, then you're in a 1-1 game. You're in a dogfight, and the midfield is really what I think swung the game. Coming down to the 45th minute. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, yeah, so 45th minute, there's some random exchange that goes on within the box there.
It's Neos. Neos and Miazga had been battling for every single free kick, every single corner, and the ref doesn't do much about it. So then it leads to this.
Yeah, I don't like to Zach's point. Like we were watching the game, Zach and I think Ryan and Adam were down in the concourse, but we didn't see anything. Like we weren't even like looking that way. Like we had no idea what happened until replay. But yeah, I mean, it looks like Nielsen like he brings Miazga down with him rather than Miazga pulling him down or shoving him or anything like that. So it was a little interesting there. But yeah, I didn't see anything. I mean, Zach, rewatching it, what did you think?
Yeah, after rewatching it on the replay, I mean, it I hate to say it, he pulled his jersey. You could tell it was like pretty well stretched.
It's going
But
both ways though. They're
it
both
was a
pushing and
dramatic
shoving.
fall. I will give you that. Super dramatic. Like he was selling the PK full on. Like I don't think Miazga probably deserved a yellow from it, but um, yeah, I think it was still probably PK worthy. Unfortunately,
I think it comes to like I said, the build up to it. How many free kicks in a row? Maybe the ref said, you do that one more time, either of you, push,
true.
shove, pull, I'm going to call it. And, Matt's like, how can you call that? It's both ways. We're both, jostling for positions, but the ref's probably saying, I'm seeing your contact and I don't want any more of it. And next time you do it, that's it. So, I mean, it seemed like a knee jerk like thing for him to do, but man, Evan Louro just steps up. I mean, that's the moment of the match right there, in my opinion. I mean, like you both had said, I was on the concourse watching it, but I mean, the loudest it was in TQL, and then you get the rally towels out and everyone's going, and then it's halftime, and it's like you can't really build on that momentum too much. And that's the
I
only
didn't.
thing I would say about the timing that
Yeah,
stinks about that is like he makes an unbelievable save, but you can't really ride that. And in some ways, if I'm Pat, going into the halftime, I say, your keeper just made an unbelievable PK save, like guys, pick it up. This is a warning sign to you. Like you better get after this. And we kind of come out flat. You have Murphy comes in for Keller. Um, a lot of the same with just kind of just lackadaisical passing. I felt like the midfield, like I mentioned earlier, just got dominated and their press was not like a super high Redbulls type press that we're used to, but they wanted to see us play with the ball some and they took advantage of turnovers. Honestly, it's kind of how that worked out, but it was all again from the midfield losing the ball.
yeah. I don't know the momentum going into half. I honestly I didn't mind like it just being halftime after that save. Because I thought it could have been a lot worse. Going into halftime. If Lauro hadn't have saved that, but yeah, I think to your point, Ryan, why didn't we take that momentum and bring it into the second half, especially when your keeper's standing on his head, right?
Right.
And makes a
Use
huge
that.
save like that. Use it, use the energy to go into the second half. But the switch from Murphy to Keller, um, a lot of people were saying like Murphy should have started, and then that's the whole rotation. How do you want to look at that? But yeah, I think the subs were a little interesting in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you guys also noted that as well. I mean, the momentum, total killer after that 5 minutes of extra time, which I think we all thought that was a little long on that extra time addition. But yeah, coming out of halftime, I mean, you've got that. It's kind of like you get a red card in the first half, and then you come out and you have or the other team gets a red card, and you come out and you're like, okay, we have all this, like we've done great, but we just saved a goal from being conceded, and you
Yeah.
got to come out there and do something about it, right? Just like you're saying, Ryan. I mean, you really need to. From Pat's perspective, he just saved you. He just saved us, and you guys need to deliver. I think, like you said, there was a couple subs at half and or a little bit after half as well. But yeah, it was overall up until the next goal. There was nothing really. I literally have no notes between the beginning of the first or the second half and then till to the goal.
Yeah, I mean, and it was kind of a just back and forth. Like I said, it was fought in the middle of the field. There was some free kicks in certain spots, but it wasn't anything like too big. But the goal comes in the 60th minute on a turnover. The Van Seer turn on Robinson and Yedlin honestly gets both of them. And I mean, if you have two defenders there, you both can't turn. Like you gotta stay on it. They expected him to hit it first time with his left foot, and credit to him for cutting it back. Guys shouldn't even be on the field. Let's just say it how it is. Last year, he had been suspended for some racist comments that he made, and somehow is still allowed to be playing in this league. But that's besides the point. But yeah, I mean, he does well in that moment, and they go up 2-1, and no response. I mean, for me, that's terrible at home. Like, I mean, we had some, I would say, decent chances, but nothing that stands out. Like maybe a call for a PK late on. But if you have to rely on that to get back in the game, like I told you guys in the last several, we're fighting to get a result, not like we're fighting to win or keep a win, or a lead. It's like you got to flip your mentality at some point, and you can't get caught into this rhythm of where we're at. And if you have guys coming off the bench, your message has to be you're at home. You're playing behind this sold out crowd against, like Sam said, your second biggest rival who maybe has something to say about the way that you guys are playing them. Don't get caught up into the ref game. Play your game and move and pass and create opportunities like you did in the first 15 minutes. And there was just a lack of cohesion in that. From top to bottom. I mean, you get 2 goals against us for I think the first time in MLS season. Am I right on that one? I don't think we had been scored on twice in a game so far.
This season? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it had been one or nothing. Does that change the way you just got to go off your experience? Have your guys that have been in those moments say we can come back, and you saw it last year in a lot of comebacks that we made to even get or fight for a result. So moving forward, that's kind of what I'm looking to see, and that kind of goes into my impressions. We need that killer mentality, playing with the lead, like I said, at home early on, and then down the stretch to not really create opportunities really where it felt like we just kind of went through the motions. Dado gets a good shot on goal. That's the one thing that stands out. The keeper made some inspired saves. I think you guys mentioned that at one point too. So, it's not like we flopped over and died, but it's just got to be better if we're going to be, top tier like we were last year and supporter shield winners.
Yeah, I mean, my impression was the second half. I mean, Zach alluded to it. The second half was a snooze fest, right? So picking up the energy when it's needed. I think that's what subs are supposed to be used for. And everybody but Dotto didn't really bring any energy. I mean, Ryan, you had mentioned here like Santos, he came on and his first run, he started limping. Like it was so awful. It was like, are you kidding me? Like this is what we're trying to attack with right now is Baird and Santos up top, 2 guys that aren't making any runs or trying to get the ball or trying to, help the movement or process of anything. It was very static and boring. Like it was like, guys, what is this? This is awful.
So
And they were attacking like our direction, right? So we're seeing it from our direction going, this is clearly awful.
I mean, if we can see it from where we're sitting, then I mean, come on, the coaching staff has to see you swing the ball around the back line enough and no one's creating opportunities. Like I said, late on in the match, they get lazy and they said, screw this. I'm not going to build through the midfield anymore. I'm just going to hit it over the top. And then you have guys that can't win the ball and hold it up and just get attacked on again. I mean, it's happened so many times now.
Yeah, I mean, just my overall impression is just the attacking. I mean, you've got at the 75th minute, both your starting strikers are either in a different position, like attacking mid, or your starting striker Bupenza, he's out and gets benched. So it's like you've got Baird and Santos, and then Daddy Valenzuela are Lord and Savior, the new Lord and Savior.
Daddy Valenzuela.
It's so good to see him get the minutes. I mean, I think it's well deserved. I think he got a full, was it 25 minutes in? So I think that was a confidence booster for him. And then, seeing Yamil Assad get some, I think it was like 10 minutes, but still is good to see his how he plays and whatnot with our what little we saw of him in our system.
I
But
think you bring in a good attacker with that move, Zach, and you have some continuity with Lucho. But what do you think of getting rid of Oriano in that moment? Like, why not move Oriano up top or shift your formation with more of an attacking minded presence? Like, that is the one criticism I have is like, he seems to be so set in ways of us trying to play. Like, at some point, you got to scrap it if it's not working, dude, and go to something else that may work better. Like, have Santos as your main hold up striker and get Baird and Oriano as your attacking wingers and attack that way and have, put Yamil Assad behind him as a four back with Yedlin as the other one and drop a center back out of there. I mean, it's basic stuff that like I just don't feel like his adjustments have been good enough. And he said that in credit to Pat, like he said in his post game conference, he says, I got to do better. The players got to do better. We got to prepare in these situations. And I just don't think we've had that situation where we haven't had an answer. Like to your point, the guys you have coming off the bench, look at last year. I mean, you get Dom Baji in there and he's dominating guys. I mean, that's what you want for 25 minutes. You don't want a guy coming in that's going to walk, around the back line. I mean, these guys have been in there for 70 minutes. The
yeah,
defenders for Red Bulls have been in there for 70 minutes, right? And you're coming on the field for 20. You should be outrunning them and holding the ball up and having more effort than they do.
well,
Both
yeah,
subs.
yeah, exactly. I just don't get how we're not physical enough. Like none of the strikers are physical. Maybe
Back
Santos.
line, yeah, back line's physical, but my God.
We need Dom, man. We need Dom back. Like he was what we had in a Vasquez sub. Like they brought similar things, and like the guys you're bringing off the bench now, at least in this game, is like not even a main striker with Baird who plays more wing attack, normally. And then Santos, who I'm not even sure what kind of striker he is, like an opportunistic type of striker, I would say, maybe if it falls right at his feet on his right foot, right in front of goal with a wide open net. I'm just kidding. But yeah, we just got to get better. We got to get better in that position. And we all know it. The whole fan base knows it. I think everyone sees that now. How can we improve on that is the question, and that's the golden thing. But in my opinion, it's switching up movements and just getting them to be more fluid up there. Like I said in the last several episodes, is create more fluidity to draw defenders out. They're so static in the back line right now, and both strikers are on opposite sides. It's so easy to defend.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, Sam, I would love to hear your trivia question of the week so we don't keep griping because it's one game. We have many more ahead of us. We're gonna figure it out. But what's your question of the week?
Well, keeping on the momentum of Bupenza, and his chances that are or aren't, there's a lot of people on the FCC team that, seem to be getting chances and then they're getting called back. So, with that being said, where does FC Cincinnati rank in the MLS in offsides, and which FCC players are both top 10 in MLS in offsides?
I'm
Ryan.
gonna go with yeah, I think we're second in the MLS. And then I think Bupenza, and then because you said both, I think I'm gonna go. I mean, it's easy to say Baird in this scenario, but I think it's Santos. I'm gonna go Santos and Bupenza.
Zach?
I'm gonna go. We're number 5, top 5, and I'm gonna say Lucho and Bupenza.
Okay. Okay. We got some good answers here. And I guess we'll see you on the other side.
Hey, FC Cincinnati fans, we are pumped to share our new sponsor, Peak Cocktails.
I'm sipping on the passion fruit margarita, which is so spicy and it makes me feel like I'm on the beach.
Ooh, that sounds great. I'm drinking the Blood Orange Spritz, which has a great subtle ginger flavor coming from its scientifically formulated recipe to promote exercise recovery enhance relaxation, and support a better night's sleep.
Ryan, that's exactly why I love them. Their cocktails are designed to fit seamlessly into your health conscious lifestyle, giving you the enjoyment of a delicious adult drink without the downsides of alcohol.
Guys, next time you are looking for that post-workout drink or an afternoon pick-me-up, grab a Peak Cocktail. Visit them at www.peakcocktails.com and use the code FLYINLION at checkout to get 20% off your first order. Zach, enjoy your drink. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for listening to our sponsor. Zach and I are rocking our peaks tonight. Everyone go out and check out Peak Cocktails. Make some good stuff. Sam, I know you got plenty in your fridge, I'm sure. You
Oh
may
yeah,
have drank through all of them already, so that's why you're not drinking them tonight, right?
quite possibly. I mean, like we had talked about, great after workout, kind of, drink. It's very relaxing.
Yeah, absolutely. Relaxing, Sam. Unfortunately, it looks like your jersey swap maybe didn't have a lot of relaxing to do. Who's your jersey swap of the week?
Yeah, so jersey swap of the week was our man Evan Louro. Had to give a shout out to him. I mean, he had a solid match for his very first MLS start against his former club, boyhood club. Pretty solid match. Obviously, there's a lot of things he needs to work on because realistically, he's probably a third string goalkeeper. But for what he did, I thought he was solid. Obviously, we had talked about crucial PK save right before halftime there. Game could have been a lot worse if he does not save that. But he showed a lot of confidence and a lot of fire, especially when, we had a starting goalkeeper in Celentano for, I don't know how many games in a row. I can't remember the last time he didn't start, but Loro stepping in there and filling the boots, I thought he did pretty solid.
Yeah, great shout. I mean, I think he was serviceable in this game, and I don't think that either one that we got scored on, maybe, the one coming through a couple defenders' legs, he can maybe get a half step better. But like in the moment where like you're trying to keep the game level and he makes that save in your like debut against your boyhood club, like good for Louro, like, and he got the boys going, at least for that time, just didn't carry
Yeah.
it in any more than that. But yeah, great shout. Sam, I think the last time we played Red Bull in the regular season was the last time Celentano did not start an MLS game. And we lost to Red Bulls because Alec Khan was in goal. So, fun fact, when we play Red Bulls, play Celentano.
That's actually a funny little stat there. But yeah, I would say Lareau's still on his head. I think he hopefully he deserves gets a lot of credit from the goalkeeping staff and even Pat Noonan. I mean, he kept us in the game, and you know, lo and behold, we couldn't score. But I mean, he was the bright spot in the match. I would say from a overall standpoint.
Guys, going into Leagues Cup in the summer, if we have PK situations, let's pull a Nashville and sub out Celentano and put Louro in for PKs. What do you say?
I don't know. Celentano's got one. He's got one. Alec Khan's got
Louro seems to be the
one,
guy.
two.
He stops a lot of Luchos in practice, from what I'm hearing, and he's a pretty solid PK saver. So I don't know, something to be said about that. If Lucho vouches for it, maybe I'll believe it even more too. But Zach, what's your jersey swap of the week?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with our boy Yuya Kubo. Like Sam said, he's our Swiss Army knife. I mean, he's pulling out all the stops in any position he plays. I mean, absolutely, he's a very valuable player. Maybe not the most valuable, but he's up there. I mean, I think with what we're paying him, I mean, we're getting a lot of good minutes out of him. Fills the any need that we actually have. I mean, he can play anywhere, and unfortunately, he was the only goal of the match, especially even in the first few minutes. But I think he played where he needed to play, and he did a great job.
The dude has, I think, the same amount of goals as Bupenza this year.
Sure does.
So, striker wise, he's doing all right. But yeah, I've said this before. Yuya Kubo is the most versatile designated player in MLS history. Signed as a winger, converted to a defensive midfielder, played attacking mid, has played striker, has played left back, right back. Go look anywhere in the MLS. Where have you seen a designated player not just play their one position like that? It's
Yeah, a
pretty
guy
impressive.
who's played 10 positions, right? Like that's I mean, nine, maybe nine. We'll go nine since he didn't play center back, but I mean, that's insane. It really is. Ryan, who we got for jersey swap for you?
Guys, I went non-traditional this week because this young lad just had an incredible Generation Adidas tournament. Stefan Chirila, so 17-year-old FCC U17 player, had 5 goals in the GA Cup. He won the golden boot of the tournament, meaning he had the most goals of anyone in the whole tournament. 17 years old, like I said, originally from the Philadelphia Academy, came over this year for FCC. Tom Bogert does a little shout out on his video on YouTube saying that him and one of our other strikers are future just top lads in the MLS. So be on the lookout for Stefan. From what I hear, he's played 2 games for FCC Next Pro. After this game, I think he's going to be signed on, a Next Pro contract. But we need that attacking option, and if we can get some young guys up and doing it more than some of the other younger guys, I'm not going to call them out by name, but yeah, I mean, I'd take it, and especially in this tournament where you look at we're playing worldwide teams, and he had the most goals, like that's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what he's got 33 goals on the season at this point now, something like that. He's been killing it at the U17 level, and to your point, it's about time. You know, he gets called up, gets the contract with the MLS Next Pro Club. But yeah, I thought it was really cool that Tom Bogert shouted him out. Top 10 U17 wonder kid for him.
Yeah, I mean that's really awesome to see him get some minutes in the next pro games. Hope we get him a contract, and really I think that's telling of our academy, right? Like one of the top academies, but we're not very good in our next pro team. So hopefully we can get better there. But hopefully, if he signs, he will be better, and that'll bring a lot more competition to our striker position, which I think we all know is well needed.
Yeah, the question I guess is, I mean, you get this big recognition in this tournament. You're the golden boot winner. You have the most goals. Like, what teams are going to be knocking on our door, for this guy? And he's not technically signed for the first team, so he can kind of explore options similar to, like we mentioned before, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, like all these guys that have played at that level that can now go sign with big clubs. So good for Stefan if that's the case and he boosts his career, but selfishly, we'd love to see him in the orange and blue at the pro ranks. So look out for Stefan coming up here. But Sam, card of the week, let's hear it.
Yeah, card of the week. We could have just been beating the dead horse and keep talking about the prior game and all the cards in that game, but decided to go with the lack of unique boot beer designs. I like the boots. I drink the boots. Is it too much to ask for a new boot design every game or every other game? I know marketing costs would probably be a bit high, and but I think that makes them collectibles. I think I've got some fun ideas. Have the fans design some, and then you choose from those designs. Would be a fun way to interact with the fans, or have the local breweries design one, and then every game is a different local brewery because we're supporting local.
I like that thought. I really do. Last year they went with different colors for each game, so you couldn't bring the same boot back in and get a refill.
That's why, yeah, this season's weird.
Yeah, so far I think they've all been very similar. The orange one, at least the last 2 games, from what we got. But yeah, my other thought on this, Sam, to add to yours, would you call this a yellow card?
Sure.
We're going to go with a red card. We've upgraded to a red card. Are you ready for this, guys? Nashville has stolen our boot idea. And they said, look at this gem of a drink. And everyone's like, whoa, I've never seen that before. Yeah, just come right up 75. You'll see it. We were doing this last year from the start of the year. So how original was that, Nashville?
I love your creativity and your marketing, Sam. Bringing it straight home.
Zach, building on that, did you have anything that you thought was card worthy this week?
Oh man, I mean we've all talked about it, but I'm curious to hear. I mean, I don't think anybody's really heard much from the transfer portal this past few weeks. I mean, we've heard Kelsey, but that kind of fell through. But really, I mean, we're having zero output from the attack. Are we just trying to survive at the moment and make it to that? I guess is it the 23rd? See if we can get something by then, or do we? And then the other side is, do we overspend because we're in dire need at the moment? Because I mean, we got a long gap till then, and there's a lot of questions, and I think it's a big decision that's going to be coming up here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, great.
So I think that would be my red card. That's a red card.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's more than a few games. It's been the first quarter of the season now. And unfortunately it hasn't come together. Whether it's lack of like cohesion there, filling in gaps, stop gaps maybe in some ways, and just finding what plugs in and can work in the moment, like Kubo this game, and it worked. But are you going to get that lucky every game? I don't know. We didn't mention it yet, but Kimi Ordonez is now on loan, in Sweden. So we're down another striker, but that's another opportunity to bring another player in, So it opens up now with Angulo and Kimi on loan, two spots that might be well spent in the attacking options, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah, I think for the most part, we were all expecting. I'm hoping that Yamil Assad is really good for the club and everything, but we were really hoping that his announcement, should have been for a striker.
100% would agree with that. I mean, I don't think we're in dire need for a wing back position, but yeah, I think he could also be maybe a little bit more versatile. I mean, I
Yeah, he
guess
feels seems like a Kubo a little bit.
yeah, Kubo or Luca. I mean, I think that those three are very similar-ish in their play style. But I mean,
His
we'll
signing comes down to the summer in multiple competitions, players playing internationally.
good point.
You can play him in multiple spots, and Lucho trusts him. That's really what it comes down to. And how can we get that chemistry back? I mean, that's really what I see in that spot. And if it lifts him and propels him to play well, you saw the interconnections between them in limited minutes, on the field. But yeah, I mean, Sam, I agree with you. We need that attacking signing. It's just, do we make a reactionary signing and make it the wrong one? They're trying to find the right fit. And if they stopgapped it before and got it wrong with some other people, let's just say, then they want to try to get it right, with a young player. And sometimes that's tough, with a 19 or 20-year-old that's unproven potentially. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, and I wanted to make just a comment. Just I know we don't trust foot mob ratings, but I just love it. It's kind of just a gossip kind of thing, but Bupenza's on our team for foot mob rankings. Bupenza's ranked number 11 on our team at a 6.75,
Wow.
and Baird is ranked at 12 at 6.54. So our two starting strikers are not even really ranked in our starting 11, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you have to say your subs are even providing more quality, opportunities, if you're going to say like guys that were fringe starters and now they are starters or whatever it is, or even the center backs that have come in like have played better. Like Kip probably is higher. I don't know if you can confirm that on there or not, but
I think
um
he is actually.
yeah,
He
I
might be
mean,
10.
for how bad we got the forward thing wrong. I mean, again, Kip Keller has become fairly serviceable. So we got that right. Just got to start getting the forwards right. But guys, my my card of the week is a simple one. The MLS this past week had no midday games on Saturday. So, we're all back from golfing in the morning, and we're hanging out ready to watch some MLS, catch up on, some news, how the other teams did, and and check the schedule. And you don't have any games until 7:30, and then 8:30 and 10:30. So when you're at the games, you don't really get to watch any other games, right? You get to maybe come home and catch some of the Western Conference ones, but why not stagger these throughout the day? I want to be able to watch some more of these games. If they're going to maximize, I mean, I'm not an Apple TV rep or anything, but maximize your viewingship for these and stagger them a little bit. Or, I mean, one game on Sunday, that's not a great look for the MLS. I mean, make it more time.
There's a lot of marketing talk going on in this podcast, and we need some answers. But yeah, I mean I agree with you, Ryan. Is a little weird. I mean, adopt what baseball has been doing for years, which is having the midday games and primetime games, right? Make it however important you want to make it. If you want to put Messi at 7:30 every single night, then do that. But like have some midday games for other people to watch. I don't mind a Saturday midday game, especially because it's a Saturday, right? You want to use the rest of your day, um, if you have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that sucks is Apple TV doesn't give ratings, so you really can't tell. Like, are those games actually being watched? Like,
Yeah,
let's be honest, or are they, wasting money putting it on at that time? But
they're only gonna give ratings if they do good.
I
True.
good, yeah,
True. They're only going to tell you if it was good numbers. Yeah. No response out there is like, I don't know. I wanted to watch El Trafico. I wanted to watch, Galaxy
yeah.
Yeah,
LAFC, and it's on at the same time that we're playing, even though it's a West, Coast game. It's a 4:30 game for them. But, there's games out there like that I'm more interested in the MLS now that we're in this and, and doing well as, last year and start of this year. I want to catch up on these teams and it helps for scouting and everything. But now you have to go outside of your day and go and look at some of it. It's just kind of frustrating. Another frustrating comment, guys. So we're gonna go on the trend. Not really frustrating. I think both the U15s and U17s in the GA Cup had pretty good runs. Their runs ended this past week. The 15s lost to Brondby 1-3. 17s lost in PKs to Sporting KC. So we get knocked out, but we did well. We advanced past the group stage. We had a really good win, the 17s against Philly. So, highlight again, Golden Boot winner of the tournament. That's a good spotlight for the club in a world stage tournament. And a lot of young guys that are coming up. That's my impression. I've been more actively involved in watching it, catching up, trying to see who the next, guy is to come up to our team. And these tournaments provide a lot of good opportunities for that. And hopefully our coaching staff, our scouts, and everyone could see that and say, maybe we don't have to look outside for everyone. We can look internally and see like a Datto to bring him up the ranks and now get him more minutes. Like give some of these younger guys opportunities. They play more free flowing games and let them go. At some point, just let the boys play.
yeah. I think the U15s had lost in the round of 16 to Brondby on that. I think U17's a little bit earlier, but yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. Like the what we've seen from the academy this year is exactly what Bobby was talking about. Was we've got some good pieces, and if we just continue to grow and continue to build off of those, we could have one of the best academies in the MLS, and we're starting to see that because we're playing right alongside the likes of a Philly and these other big squads. So I'm really excited to see what the future is for the academy and getting more of these young guys up to the I guess first team.
Yeah, I meant to ask because I actually didn't get a chance to really look at either of the brackets. Like, how far did the U17s get at that loss to SKC? Was that 16 as well?
I think it might have been 32.
Yeah, I
32.
think it
I
was
believe.
earlier. I think it was 32.
Yeah. But
Wow.
I mean, it's a PK loss, so it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a tough game. It could go either way on that point. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good things that we took away from that. We hope to kind of follow through and see who hopefully brings up the FCC2 team a little bit because they haven't been fantastic, but I think they've played tough games, like I mentioned in the last podcast. But guys, I wanted to real quickly touch on, we're talking the big theme obviously is the attack, but all this word out on X right now. There's a certain forward at Udinese who's only played 36 minutes in the form of Mr. Brenner. He's only played 4 games. Do we look at bringing this forward back? Do we get a loan for a couple games? I have a couple opinions on this, but Sam, let's hear it first.
My initial thought is no. Um, it was a very abrupt and just like he wanted to leave and not be in Cincinnati anymore. He felt he was a lot more valued, and it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I mean, not me personally. I didn't really take it that way. I was rooting for Brenner to once again get that move, like the rest of our guys that wanted a European move. But it is unfortunate. He's had just a bad streak over there in Udinese in the Serie A, and he just injuries and just trying to make it into the first team just really hasn't. Um, I mean, would I mind it? No, because we need the striker help, but does it make too much sense as far as like squad wise? Not really.
No, and it probably left a lot of a sour taste in the players' mouths too. I'm not going to comment on that, but it could. I mean, you also don't know, is that injury that he had at the beginning of the season probably why he's not having many minutes and he's not performing like he should be. I mean, he covered a lot of ground when he was a striker here. It seemed like so. I don't know how Udinese's system works, but maybe he's not the right fit for them. Who knows?
Yeah, good point. I think coming off of a big injury and trying to find your footing in the middle of the season and with probably an established attack at that point, trying to break in is pretty tough. I think he goes on loan next year and gets more minutes somewhere else, not to us. I think this X, tweet or whatever that comes out is a half-hearted thing. Several people that are commenting on that. I think it's more of a funny thing and looking that he's not playing there. But yeah, Brenner, I mean, was serviceable the 1 year that we had him as a solid asset. Gelled well with Lucho, in my opinion, probably better than a lot of people had gelled with Lucho in a forward attacking mid relationship. Honestly, I felt like they played really well together. But if you tried to pair Brenner and Bupenza, though, I don't think that works out very well, personally. So yeah, that doesn't work well. But there was another former striker that got his first goal in the form of Dambaji, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, Dambaji. But shout out to him for getting his first goal over in Turkey. Hopefully he's enjoying his time over there. We miss him. And really wish, honestly, that he was on our team right now. I'm betting a lot of people in the front office were wishing they signed him to a contract because I would take him at Santos's salary, to be honest.
Easily, easily. I think that was a penalty he slotted away as well.
Yeah, why not though, guys? Switch those contracts. Like buy one out and go buy the other guy back.
The only like thing that Santos has like a hat to hang on is our very first playoff win.
True.
Other than that, not really seeing much.
Yeah. Yeah, he's supposed to be like quicker than everyone, but doesn't seem to outrun people and limps on the first sprint that he has of the game. But as we move on to match day number 8, so we play Montreal away on Saturday in good old Canada. So 7:30 start. Going to be an interesting one here, guys. Montreal looked fairly good to start the year. They've beaten Inter Miami. But they got smacked 5-0 against the Sounders this past week. So not a good taste in their mouth coming out of that game. They're back at home. Montreal always seems to do pretty well at home, I would say. They have a pretty solid following there too. I would love to go up there and catch a game. I feel like it's a good atmosphere. They have a new manager in this year, though. Lawrence Courtois from Columbus's second team. So a lot of the Wilfred Nancy coaching branch, so will be interesting to see. They play very similar to Columbus in that manner. They like to be on the ball and attack. Hopefully that creates some spots for us to counterattack against that and to open up spaces. If we get a quick goal or two, I think it really opens up things because of how they just got dominated, 5-0. It's hit or miss with that play style. If you play so attacking, it leads you to be vulnerable on the defense. So I could go either way on it. my question, I guess, would be, is Bupenza good to go? He had that ankle injury on the side, knee, ankle, whatever you want to call it. Or with the travel issues, I know he was able to go down to Mexico. Is there still some lingering questions with that? So we'll see.
Yeah, I think last season we had one win, one draw against Montreal. They currently sit 11th on the table, so they're a little bit further back. So they're probably looking to, get some points against us. So we got to be ready to fight, especially on their turf. But as far as Bupenza goes, I just give me a Dotto start. I don't really care. I don't really care. Just give me a Dotto start. Is Bupenza healthy? Is he not? I don't put Dotto up top and watch him work. That's all. That's all I want to see. That's all I care about.
We called for it this last game. We just need something different up there. And
And we will continue to call for it until it happens.
I mean, Kubo played well and scores a goal, so maybe that gets him back into the starting 11 again, and he's going to go with what he trusts. But dude, take a risk at this point. You could always bring Kubo in off the bench if it doesn't work out in the first
Play Kubo
45.
anywhere to the point. Like
Really,
it
but
doesn't matter where he plays. He's gonna get a goal somewhere, right? Right, or have a chance to, or like
Opposite.
he'll impact the game. Like
yeah, I think you gotta do something different, get some different vibe going. I mean, all time we're fairly good against Montreal. We're 4-2-3. It's kind of been up and down, and I don't believe we're really done fantastic in Montreal from what I remember. We kind of salvaged a draw last year, which seemed to be kind of lucky, if I remember that one correctly.
Yeah, these matches with Montreal are always very interesting. I think I remember them always being very high scoring, and it flip flopped every like who was winning all the time. So it was very back and forth. But it's interesting. I don't know if you made this comment yet, Ryan or Sam, but it's Montreal's first home game this year. So they've actually had six away matches in a row. So I'm not sure what the reasoning is. I need to go look into that. But I noticed on their previous matches, they've all been away. So
Hmm.
coming home for the first time this year is going to be interesting for them. So it's their
oh
home
yeah,
opener.
they'll definitely want the crowd going then. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's interesting because they're going to be missing Saliba, who had the red card against the Sounders. So he's their,
Hmm.
playmaker there in the middle. They're missing Lapalainen, Opoku, a couple people from injuries. So I think it's going to be a pretty weakened squad. And like you said, Ryan, they're leaking goals right now. I mean, I think their average or their conceded goals per match is like 2.2. So
Wow.
a lot of stars are aligning for us to do very well. So let's see what our Dotto and whoever else is
Everybody
next.
else, yeah.
Yeah, let's be honest. I don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be a confidence game for the forwards. It's got to
Yeah,
be.
it's
This
got.
has to be the one. It has to be the
Yeah.
one.
This is the game to do it. I mean, you especially like I can't believe this is their first home game of the year and it's 6 games in or whatever, like that's wild. Just looking at this now on FotMob too, they haven't scored in their last 2 matches. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 5 matches. So they get scored on. And if we can't score against them in that, like that's an issue. So we got to find some goals and quickly.
Yeah, expect a
Also,
striker signing after that game if there's no goals.
yeah, absolutely. You got to come out with something. But we've apparently conceded the most penalties this season as well, which is interesting. So we got to keep our head in the defensive side of things as well. I
Well,
know, like as open play goes, it's been well, but in some situations, there's been some interesting tackles. Let's just say, I think what was it, Kubo on one, Obi on one, Miazga on one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's interesting. But yeah, for sure the we got to score against them. We got to go up early. Guys, I'm going for a 2-0 win in Montreal.
Okay. Man. Uh I'll go 2-2. 2-2 draw.
ooh, I was gonna go 3-1 win.
Okay.
All
I
right.
think it's this match. I feel it.
I think something's gonna be said
Gotta be said.
into the tone of you better figure this out. I mean, and honestly, again, we're not in a bad position. We're fourth
Fourth.
in
We're fourth.
the East, and it for how like tragic, it's felt. It's like we're getting results, especially on the road. We haven't lost on the road, knock on wood. I'm knocking on it right now. But yeah, I mean, keep it up. Like I said, we from the last trivia question last week, actually, it's been 8 games in a row. So let's get another one. Let's get the offense going a little bit better. I don't think Roman's coming back for this one.
No,
So does Louro get another nod here?
he should. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would be okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
So, Sam, let's hear this trivia answer.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, trivia of the week was where does FC Cincinnati rank in the MLS in offsides this season, and which FC Cincinnati players are both top 10 in the MLS in offsides? Ryan, I believe you went with Bupenza and who else?
Santos?
Santos. And then Zach, you went Boop and Lucho.
Yep.
And then Ryan, you were what, sixth?
I
Or
said
no, you were
second.
second, and then Zach was fifth.
Yep.
So Zach, you got part one of part two, but the answer to the trivia question was we are fourth in the MLS in offsides with 23 offsides. We're actually tied with the Columbus Crew for third. So I kind of just put us at fourth, but we're tied for third. And the two that are in the top 10 for us are tied with 7 offsides. And they're actually tied for second. There's like 4 or 5 people tied for second with 7 offsides, and that would be Lucho and Bupenza.
Jeez. I'm
Yeah.
actually very surprised. I was thinking we would be actually probably higher than 5, but since Ryan said 2, I didn't want to go higher than that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised in some aspects. I think, like I said, we've gone more direct in some ways with long balls, and sometimes guys aren't always like getting back to the positions they need to be at. Like Sam, you were sitting next to me during this game, and you're like, "You're offside, you're offside, you're offside." Like, we were fighting with 5 minutes left, and our guys are offside in positions where we want to create and have these balls to go through. So a better mindfulness of your positioning, I would say,
It's
is
very
needed.
stressful, especially when like I mean, for the away games, there have been so many in the away games because all of us, right, we watch on TV.
Sure, sure.
So it looks like, oh my God, like breakaway. Oh, Bupenza scores. Let's go. Offsides again. Uh, and it just takes takes the energy out of it. It sucks.
It is all away games now that you say that.
I know.
We shall see, boys. But that is another episode of the Flyin podcast. Hopefully next week we get a solid win in Montreal. We will see you guys next week.